It's the Wickersham Leader Show with today's episode, Oh Canada. It's a good thing we're not doing this on the 4th. What's that? I'll take care of it. Okay, it's gone. Wow, that was freaky. Anyways. So, we're continuing our Donkey Kong Bonanza marathon today, and I was going to do Donkey Kong Country and Land 3 on separate days, but I think today I'll do them on the same day. I'm not going to play the whole thing of Donkey Kong Land 3 because if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of sick of playing these Game Boy Donkey Kong games. I already did 2 playthroughs 100% of both games. Of all 3 of the games, I should say. So, you know, I don't want to do it anymore. I burnt myself out. Anyways, but we do have a little bit to talk about with Donkey Kong Country 3. Starting development pretty much right after Donkey Kong Country 2 wrapped up. There's really not a whole lot of information about the story of what DKC3 was doing. As far as we can tell, the process was pretty smooth. However, most of the people at Rare at the time were gearing up for the Nintendo 64 and Diddy Kong Racing, which is supposed to be one of the big releases that they were going to be making the following year in 1997. So it was left to another team, the B team, so to speak, and as a result, they had a couple of people who weren't normally involved in the first 2 games development ended up coming on over. It more or less came to, you know what? Let's just go to the thing to talk about the art direction a little bit. Let me just get it up here. Hold on. There it is. So, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. In early development, it was just called Dixie's Double Trouble, but they didn't seem to... There wasn't any information really put online about how this game was named compared to 2. Of course, you know, in Japan it was called Super Donkey Kong 3. I'm not sure what that subtitle means. I never bothered to get around to really looking at it. Dixie looks more or less the same. No real big changes this time. She pretty much remained the same way throughout these games. And of course, there's newcomer Kiddy Kong, who that is just a face, isn't it? A face only a mother could love. He's not exactly the most popular Donkey Kong character, but I do like him. During development, he had several different names, including Dinky Kong, Tiny Kong, DJ Kong, and Dinky Kong ended up being his Japanese name, and Dinky Kong was also a name that they were going to be using for Diddy Kong during his development, and Tiny Kong was of course given to another character later on. But for the most part, it's basically like the things you kind of expect. Cranky looks the same, but that's because he's got a lowered presence than before. Funky's got a brand new design, and this is actually the design that he uses to this day, although he ditched the boots. He still has the glasses with the white tank top and the shorts. I kind of like it. Tool belt's a bit much, but it works for this game. You wouldn't be having it most of the time. Wrinkly is given a new... because she retired from her teaching in this game. Instead, she just stays home and works out all day. And Swanky's got a spiffy new design. This is actually the design he has in the Mario movie. Which, yeah, he appears in the Mario movie. Isn't that something? Although, he looks basically like Donkey Kong otherwise. Although his eyes are a little bit wider. I never noticed that. The eyes are actually different. Well, we got some new animal buddies, of course. Unguard, who's using the exact same render they used in the first game again. They didn't change this guy at all. He is perfect. And then, of course, we've got newcomer Ellie the Elephant. Rather controversial inclusion. She's very different. She's clearly supposed to be our Rambi replacement, but she's not Rambi. I'm sorry. And then, of course, we've got Perry, the parallel bird. Not so much a partner, a buddy that helps you, as he is a liability. Squawks makes his grand return. Switter comes back, and... wait, where's, Quawks. A new, quote-unquote, animal buddy. He was in 2. In Parrot Shoot Panic, but he didn't have a name yet. He was just a blue-colored Squawks in that game, and now he's a purple Squawks, and now he's called Quawks. The big thing that this world has all over are the Brothers Bear, and they each have a whole unique gimmick for each of them. They're very, very friendly looking. I like that. However, they do kind of look like Banjo, don't they? For a while, people thought that Bazaar was supposed to be Banjo, but I mean, you could look at it. That's clearly not Banjo. But maybe they had bears on the mind, even as far back as 1996. Or they just don't really know how to design bears that different from each other. Oh yeah, the Kremlings in this game look very weird. Unlike the second game, which looks more like you took Kremlings from the first game and kind of gave them more piratey outfits, we got new designs, including Cobble, our critter comparison here, but he is weird looking, isn't he? Coins are the big guys that you'll be defeating a lot. They're in every level, and that's how you get the DK coins, but I'll talk more about that when we get to it. Copters, crimps, they're gross. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these, oh my gosh, look at the slobber on that one. Most of these enemies, they fill the same niches as we've already had before, but my goodness, they are freaky looking, aren't they? What the heck? Oh, I like Kaboing, though. He's cool. Excuse me, Recoil. Kaboing's from the second game. Freaky. Oh, and of course Dixie gets her own balloons, although the whites of her eyes are actually painted on this one. Well, also in the Donkey Kong Land, in the GBA version of Donkey Kong Country 3, oh, that is minuscule. They actually redesigned all of the Brothers Bear with a new look. They look not as interesting, if you ask me. They are very dull in comparison. And it has actually one new enemy, which was a canceled enemy from the first game called Kraka. Oh, that is tiny. That is minuscule. Here, look at the render. There you go. They're essentially just kabooms from DKC2, but they went unused in the main game. Yeah. And of course, no, it's actually not of course, but Brinkley has a new look, and she just looks like Donkey Kong. They didn't even really try to make her look different like they did in the original version of the game. And those saggy boobs, I mean, my goodness. But that does it for, like, the development stories. Let's take a look at some advertisements. We'll start with the print ads this time, because I think that works a little bit better. Let me turn down the music, because I think I'm done with that. The big thing with this game is that they really wanted to advertise, at least in America, they really advertised that this game is hardcore, that this game is kooky and out there, and they're giving this gorilla with a ton of tattoos and piercings for a game that has a character named Kiddy Kong in it, and he wears a blue onesie, and he cries when he dies. Yeah, great. Some fella losing his chimpanzee. I assume that's George of the Jungle. And then, of course, you got a nice Nintendo Power poster, which I actually didn't show off for the other two, but they all had these long posters. I actually own all three of them. And then we got Donkey Kong Land, which has barely anything written about it, but it was a more notable release in Japan because it didn't come out in 1997 like Donkey Kong Land 3 did in America and everywhere else. It released in 2000 as part of the Game Boy Color. And thus had a tie-in to this. Alright, so at this point, the Donkey Kong Country TV show had been showing in Japan. It was already a big success. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to it. But it had a trading card game. And the big exclusive thing that came with this game is you got a trading card for Kiddy Kong. And when you put it all together, you got to use him in the game, and he was like an expansion pack of sorts, which is nuts that it even got that far. I would like to have those cards. I'll show them off when we talk a little bit more about the show and the things that spun off from that during our DK64 playthrough. Of course, now we're going to show off the ads. Everyone knows this one.
Something wild is coming. Something you wouldn't expect.
It's disturbing.
It's Donkey Kong Country 3 starring Kiddy Kong. Uglier bosses, incredible levels, and graphics you won't believe. Donkey Kong Country 3.
I'm surprised they were still pushing the graphics
something you don't see every day.
I mean, the N64 was like, if it wasn't already out by this point, it was almost out, and those would have been graphics people couldn't believe.
And it's better than ever.
I mean, it's got good graphics, but like, I don't know if you can really say that in 1996. It wasn't as huge a pull as it was in 1994. This was a thing for E3 1996. Funky's still using his DKC2 sprite there. And they're still advertising it like they did Donkey Kong Country 1. Does that work? Oh yeah, Dixie's Double Trouble. There you go. I guess they liked the way Dixie Kong's Double Trouble rolled off. Oh, and here's the GBA version. With some models that look a little bit better, at least for Kitty. And we got a Baron K. Rulenstein model. Although, I suppose what's interesting about this game's story is that Baron K. Rulenstein was kind of supposed to be a secret. He was not supposed to be something that you would right off the bat know was in the game. But like, come on, the enemies are Kremlings. How is he not in the game? I hate this commercial.
There comes an age in life when you find out what hands are really for.
What the heck? What are you doing?
Donkey Kong Country 3.
My goodness.
New Donkey Kong Country 3. You're thinking it's just some cheap makeover. Run! It's a whole new game!
I mean, I will say, Donkey Kong Country 3 is probably the most different from the other two. In terms of, like, how it feels.
Now, $99! That's right, Super Nintendo, now $99!
Nintendo.
美しすぎる。まさしくこれは今までのスーパーファミコンで最高画質だ。
I wonder if this commercial was meant to be in English. Because that lip syncing does not match. And they have a remix here of the opening of it. Oh, and this released the same year as Donkey Kong Land 2, so they often advertise the two together. Which, in Japan, they called Donkey Kong Land 2 Donkey Kong Land, so it's called Super Donkey Kong GB, Donkey Kong Land, and Super Donkey Kong Land GB. It's called Donkey Kong GB, Dixie and Dinky Kong. What the heck is that titling schematic there? Anyway, I actually want to call attention to this real quick. Going back a little bit. First of all, they got that amazing thing they do where they remix the music from the game, which I always love when they did that. But we've got amazing models of Kitty and Dixie here that are really accurate, as well as a really nice looking Ellie model made just for this commercial. However, DK, that's his model from Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which released the same year. Probably trying to make it so, like, we have this model already, no need to make a new one. But like, this model of Kitty and Dixie look really good. Like, it's almost like they pulled it directly from Rare, which they might have. They might have still had these models kicking around 10 years later. Who knows? Oh, and here are these guys. Fireman, and this commercial is more or less the same thing as the last one, where it's like, we're in the new game, right? And it's like, no, it's you guys instead.
Dans Chocopops de Kellogg's, ils ont mis Donkey Kong. Ça se passe comment, enfant?
Quoi? Dans Chocopops, on est 6 différents et on est tous donc. Libère-nous.
Wow, those look awful. Those look terrible. Those are horrendous looking. Oh my gosh, that K. Rool one is staring into my eyes. And that's based on the TV show, I think. Yeah, he doesn't even... They couldn't even bother to make it look like the eyes aren't, like, completely off.
Muita banana.
Why are they doing Up Yours?
Muita banana.
Chegou Donkey Kong 3.
And we're getting remixes of DKC2 music here.
Donkey Kong 3. Vai comprar ou vai dar uma de? Banana. É Nintendo ou nada.
It's Nintendo or nothing, huh? Oh, and then all these other ones are actually the same thing as the American commercial. They just changed it up slightly to, like, you know, obviously for the different languages in the different regions. And then, of course, Donkey Kong Land 3. Most of the commercials are actually from the Japanese side of it. So here we see... Yeah.
あのドンキーコングがゲームボーイカラーで新登場。
お客様。あ、なんか喜んでる。
He's crying over that Diddy Kong card.
ドンキーコング GB。よかったねドンキー。ドンキーコングカードゲームも。
It's a very charming looking costume. I have already said that. I think this is all the same commercial. Just oh no, wait.
Slackers! Get a clue.
Get a job!
Get a haircut! Get some hair.
Some respect.
Have some prunes.
Why, I ought to take this and just give it one body.
With new games like Ken Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball, Tetris Plus, and Donkey Kong Land 3, the world is a better place.
Nice earrings. Nice hearing aid.
What?
Your
Lovely.
old pals Dixie and Diddy Kong have a new home on Game Boy and Super Game Boy.
And Dexter's dad tells you all about Donkey Kong Land 3.
Friends as you battle nasty new villains in a world of dazzling graphics, power-ups, and secret surprises. So grab
I don't know if I'll be able to show this off, so I'm actually going to show this off here. In Donkey Kong Land 3, they made all these new graphics. They ported everything over from Donkey Kong Country 3. But the one-up balloon is... it's Diddy.
Graphics, power,
Like, why...
graphics.
Why is it still Diddy? Why didn't they change it to Dixie like it's supposed to be? Randomly, the life balloons aren't shaped like the main character anymore.
Power-ups and secret surprises. So grab your bananas and swing into Donkey
Well,
Kong Land 3
so
for Game
I'll
Boy
go
and
over it
Super
a
Game
little
Boy.
bit more, but while I would say Donkey Kong Country 2 is Donkey Kong Land 2 is very skippable, 3 is a little more worth it, because it at least doesn't feel like a port. It's got original level names and original environment names, so it's actually a different game, but...
Donkey Kong Land 3, nu voor je Game Boy en Game Boy Pocket.
Well, that's that. Let's get into the game while I regale you with the story. Sorry, I gotta turn the Switch 2 back on. Alright. Let's read the manual and see what the story is real quick. This one shouldn't be too crazy long. Months after their victory against King K. Rool and his army of baddies, the Kongs were still celebrating, soaking up the sun on their favorite glade on DK Island. Music, Donkey and Diddy Kong often slung up on hammocks, hit the music, and spent the day chilling out with banana milkshakes. If you couldn't think of anything better to do, Dixie Kong sometimes joined them. This morning, though, Dixie was surprised to find Diddy's room deserted. Up and about so early? Well, that wasn't like him. It was only as she turned to leave that she spotted the scribbled note on the table. Gone exploring the islands of DK, it read. Back tomorrow. Dixie could remember at least 3 times they'd already tried this plan. Each time they never made it further than the beach. That's when she first went looking for them. She realized, well, before she got to the beach, that it was far too quiet for Donkey and Diddy to be anywhere near. Surely they hadn't followed one of their harebrained schemes all the way through for once. The sun moved slowly across the sky and melted on the western horizon. Dixie hoped that her friends were having fun wherever they were. She settled into bed with a yawn. When morning came again, another brief swing through the branches confirmed that Diddy was still off on his little expedition. Dixie found herself starting to worry. She could only imagine what kind of trouble Donkey and Diddy were up to. As the day crawled on and the nights fell from the jungle, neither of the primates showed up. Again, Dixie could do nothing but head home to bed and hope that they'd be back at dawn. The next day came, but neither Donkey nor Diddy returned. Dixie had to find out what those two primates were doing. She made her way to the southern part of DK Island and swam to the nearest mainland. When she got there, she happened upon Wrinkly Kong's home. Wrinkly Kong told Dixie that the boys had passed by, but they hadn't said where they were going. She suggested that maybe the boys visited Funky at his beach shop. As Dixie was leaving, Wrinkly asked if she'd look for the mysterious banana birds. The birds have been seen in the cave across from Funky's rentals, but no one seems to know how to get them out. Dixie agreed and thanked Wrinkly for her help. She set up to see Funky at the shop. Funky was busy working on one of his inventions, and his shop was full of unusual items. He can find a use for anything that he gets his hands on. Funky told Dixie that the only visitor he's had all week was Kitty Kong. Funky pointed across the room to the cuddly toddler who was chewing on an old spare tire. Funky asked Dixie if he wanted to take Kitty with her. He's strong and take good care of himself. Dixie agreed and 2 were off. Before they left, Funky told them to keep their eyes peeled for some cool junk. He also told them to visit his friendly pals, the Brothers Bear, for help. Once on the travels, Dixie and Kitty discover a whole new collection of Kremlings who seem to have a new master named Chaos. Do you see that last sentence there? What a way to just kind of drop that the Kremlings have a new boss, and his name is Chaos. Also, so this game takes place in somewhere called the Northern Cremisphere, and it's basically Canada. It's basically Canada. It looks like Canada. The environments are all very naturalistic and very full of, like, northern charms. But apparently it's to the south of DK Isle? Okay. How is that possible? I don't know. And I guess I'm not gonna get an answer, because it's not like this series is really interested in telling you things like that. There we go. And, I wonder why. So, it seems to me that the way that they were kind of writing this story out. Now here's Wrinkly. Hello there, it's me, Mrs. Wrinkly Kong. I found life too hectic at school with all those naughty Kremlings pestering me all the time. If you need to save your game, Dixie, come here anytime, and I'll record your progress on my VidMe What's-It machine for you. Yeah, she's got an N64 before anybody else had one. Want to see The Lost World? Which channel is that on, Dixie? Oh yeah, they also drop hints at a Lost World. But it seems like that the story is kind of pointing towards the Kremlings having a new master. Is the idea that after K. Rool escaped that the Kremlings didn't want anything to do with him? I don't know. Yo, Dixie, what's happening? Oop, never mind, I forgot to read the dialogue. Doesn't matter, we've got Kitty Kong. Maybe a toddler, but if you let him throw you upwards, you'll almost reach the stars. If you throw him, his humongous body could smash through the floor of some areas, trust me. He's not kidding. We will be doing that. Alright. And of course, the main gimmick is this big overworld. Which, every time you go into the water, there's a free movement there. So this is what you're going to be doing for, like, bonuses in most of these. Every world in the game has one... Excuse me. Every world in the game has one banana bird cave. Which you can actually ask about at the shop if you have any money, but I don't have any money right now. We'll get some later. And and this is the kind of game where I don't think it puts its best foot forward. And first impressions are everything, because this being the first level of the game, you being stuck with a baby, not being able to play as DK or Diddy, kind of sets this negative precedent for people, where they just kind of don't really give it a chance, they don't really see its good points. And it follows, it's a sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a sort of reputation that follows this game forever. Never really goes away. But I think this game's actually got a lot of really nice things about it. For one thing, I love the vibes. They did a really good job at creating like a cohesive environment that feels like it could realistically exist. Not that Donkey Kong Island and Crocodile Isle aren't interesting locations in themselves, But this one, they really felt like they were more interested in creating a sort of place that feels like it could theoretically exist, you know? Donkey Kong Island is a place that somehow manages to have jungles, caves, mine shafts, temples, a big forest, and a snow-capped peak all at once, you know? And then Crocodile Isle, I mean, it's got pirate ships, volcanoes, swamps, amusement parks, castles. It's all over the place. It's really cool, and I love both of those locations. But I can't deny that there's something kind of charming about trying to make a place that feels like it's cohesive, you know? Having said that, though, the actual gameplay itself is pretty much the same as before. You've got two Kongs, just like it was before, except now you've got a heavy Kong and a light Kong, unlike like in the first game. What that means, though, is that when you have your team-up abilities, which were introduced in the second game, there actually is a difference between which Kong you use. Kitty runs faster and is heavier, so he can kill Crumples just by jumping on them while Dixie can't. Meanwhile, Dixie can't throw Kitty very high, but he can throw him in a way where he comes crashing down to the earth and breaks things open. Dixie also has her helicopter spin just like before, but it's not quite as broken as it was in 2, I think. Like, they made the level a lot more constrained, so it's useful still, but it doesn't, like, break challenge like the big open areas of DKC 2 had. As far as the pairings go, though, Kitty is... I mean, it's babysitting, you know? Kitty is really just kind of... I don't know, I don't want to call him dead weight, but he definitely doesn't have the charm that DK and Diddy have. Like, if Diddy and Dixie could both be popular enough characters to be the star of their own game, it's almost like Kitty was made in such a way where that could never happen for him intentionally. Because he's, like, yeah, he doesn't exactly have a cool gimmick. In fact, his only ability that makes him stand out, aside from his weight, is that he can bounce on water, which comes in case, like, a few times, but not enough for it to be, like, a mechanic that they intentionally put in and then they want you to learn. So this game's got level design, however, that's really different. Whereas the first game was, sure, some levels had gimmicks like Tanked Up Trouble, or the mine carts, or things like that. Those are things I could call gimmicks. This game has a design philosophy that's more akin to something like a Mario game. Whereas every level introduces a mechanic. They let you play around with it in a safe space. They expand upon it until it reaches its natural conclusion, and then you move on to something else. In this level's case, it's these doors. The first level didn't really have a gimmick, just to really get you used to your controls and give you a chance to ride Ellie the Elephant, because, I don't know, the first level of every game has to have Rambi in it. And this one doesn't have him, so instead we get Ellie the Elephant, who isn't nearly as cool. In fact, when you're not transformed into Ellie, Ellie has no abilities that the Kongs don't already have, and you lose movement. So, like, what's the point, you know? Alright, yeah, let's talk about Ellie a little bit. Ellie is, like, visually supposed to be our Rambi replacement. I get that, right? She's a big mammal, big gray mammal. Rambi's a big gray mammal. But their purposes are entirely different. Ellie is more puzzle-focused. When you get to her levels, she can suck up water and shoot water, and she's pretty nimble and the like, you know. Whereas, when it comes to Rambi, he's a powerhouse. He pushes through everything, and he doesn't care what you think. Which makes Rambi a lot more fun from a player's perspective, you know? Because which would you rather have? Somebody who's got puzzles involving sucking barrels from a distance or shooting water at enemies, or would you rather have The rhino that blasts through everything and destroys everything. We still basically have the underwater version of Rambi and Ungard, but that's because you can't attack when you're underwater, so it's kind of a necessity. So I'm actually heading back this direction because we gotta go talk to Bazaar, because he's got something we want. Hello there, young Kongs. My name's Bazaar, and this is my general store. All of my brothers are scattered over these islands. Pop in and say hello if you meet them on your travels. Where's the shell from? Shell's found at the bottom of Lake Orangatanga, and it's pretty rare. 5 bear coins, it's a bargain. Sure. And we do need that. We can't get the mirror. They ask about a castle, and I can't see a castle from here, but that's the last world of the game. You can ask about the mirror. Who owns the castle? Well, I ventured up there once, but if you want to know what I discovered, it'll cost you 2 coins. Saving for swankies. Are you sure? Some cheeky lad called Link was in just last week, and he asked about the castle too. Didn't have enough coins, but he seemed such a nice fellow that I agreed to accept 500 rupees instead. After he left, muttering about my shells being the wrong shape or something. Oh well. So, Link went here, and he bought information, and then couldn't get the ocarina that he wanted, or something like that. Link is canon to the Donkey Kong universe. Sure. So anyway, now we can go visit Barnacle. And since we have that shell... So this is what you'd be doing in the overworld. You've got a fetch quest. Oh there, how's it going, Kongs? Barnacle's the name, and I've set up here to build me shell collection. Seen me shell collection? It's nearly complete. What a beautiful shell. It's just what I need to finish off me collection. Say, Kongs, would you swap that shell for my bird? That I will. You would? That's great. Here's the bird. Please take care of him. And we're gonna need a lot of these birds when we go through the game. Every bear, and nearly every bear in the game has one, or will lead us to one, so... this level... At first I thought this one didn't have a gimmick, but the gimmick is that it's got a current, which is like, I don't know, that's barely a gimmick. It doesn't really impact anything the way they've designed it. And there's that coin I mentioned earlier. They all hold the DK coins, which, instead of being here just for the sake of proving you're a true hero, actually do serve a purpose. But we won't see what that is until we get to the very end of the game. Ungard with his perfect attendance. Actually, since the Return series, the only animal buddy with perfect attendance is Squawks, because he's an item you can purchase in the 2 country games on Wii and Wii U. Now, while 2 had a good mix of levels where you transform into the enemy and ones where you ride on, you turn into the animal buddy, and a few where you ride on them. In this game, with the exception of maybe 2, you're transforming into the animal buddy, like, every time. That's a big new thing with this one, though. Booty birds and bounty basses, which contain items inside. Oh, that right there was an area of the game where they wanted you to use Kitty's bounce ability, but, he's not gonna use it very much at all. Oop, let me go get Dixie. You better get used to swimming, because this game actually has some pretty tough swimming levels, especially compared to the first game. Hold on, if I remember correctly, there's something funny you can do here. Yep. Oh, never mind. I guess not. I could have... Maybe this is a later release of the game that they use on Nintendo Online, but from what I remember, there was like an invisible platform down there you could use, and the Naka would just kind of stand in the air, or stand on the water, so some people call it the Jesus barrel. I don't know why these enemies, Skidda, are considered separate enemies. They're the same as Cobbles, except they're purple. And Critters come in different colors, and they're not considered different enemies. Oops. Well, there's our first death. Unlike the other two games, this one's a lot more consistent on things like bonus levels. Most levels have 2. There's very little cases where they don't. Actually, 2 had that as well. Bland 2 was the one that was pretty inconsistent. Oh, and unlike Clampins... Never mind. Unlike Clampins and Claptraps, you can actually roll into crimps from the back. In both DKC 1 and 2, when you roll into either from the back, they will simply turn around and bite you. I really like the way that these snow levels look in particular. The pure whiteness, and it's a different kind of snow level to what DKC 1 was doing. In that game, the snow was more of like a, this is a life or death situation, you know, we're going to die. Here, it's more like, sure, it's snowing heavily, but it feels a lot more like, you know, when you're at home in the middle of a big snowstorm and you're cuddled up warm, but someone's got to go out and shovel. That's what it feels like, that we're out here because somebody has to go out and shovel the driveway. Oops. I assume another part of the reason that they decided to bring in Kiddy Kong is because they needed somebody who would hold barrels in front. And I guess they decided early on that Diddy was going to be kidnapped. And DK holds barrels above him, not in front. Although it would have been nice to have... It would have been nice to see what DK would have been like in a game where they had these team-up mechanics. I think it would have been really neat. But the other thing that Kiddy does, I think, a little better than DK is that Kiddy doesn't jump with his arms real high. When DK jumps, his arms go way up and he becomes like 2 or 3 times, about twice the height he is when he's on the ground. Which means that when DK is jumping, he is like way more susceptible to be hit by stuff. Okay, so as far as I can tell, there are 3 levels that Ellie is in where sneaks also appear. And I think one of them is level 1. But if you bring Ellie over to the sneak in level 1, she's not scared of them like in the other 2 levels. You know, I remember it being a thing that used to be common knowledge, or at least common misknowledge, that elephants were scared of mice. Do people still, like... Is that a thing that people still remember, or has that been mostly gone now? I'm not sure. Anyways, the gimmick for this level is that we're in the dark, and Ellie can attack the sneaks as long as she can't see them. If she can see them, then she runs away. It's interesting because I can't really think of any other time in a Donkey Kong game where they actually take control away from you, even if just for a second. But the control for Ellie honestly feels a lot smoother than it does for Rambi. She feels more nimble, which is something funny to say for an elephant. Ellie would go on to never really appear in another Donkey Kong game after this. Although, she isn't Donkey Konga. The way the bonus coins are utilized in this game are a little different from how they were utilized in Country 2. I will open up the Lost World early, but you won't really. I'll open up the Lost World early, but we won't be going there until after we beat K. Rool at the end. Oh, and we can't forget that the Game Boy Advance version of this game has its own thing we got to look at. First of all, though, we're gonna take a stop at Swanky's. It's not a quiz show anymore. It's an actual game where we play against Cranky. This is what Cranky does all day. He just spends his money here and I assume keeps winning. And the prizes are just a bunch of coins and lives and stuff like that. If you do win, you will make it out, like, having more than before. And then, yeah, the head-to-head mode is honestly the easiest one to win. Cranky gets a little miffed. If he one animation he has for losing is he actually chases you out. But this is actually not a bad way to get coins if you need them. And we will need a lot of them, because we need to buy that mirror. Here's our first boss, Belcha the Barrel. What a weird boss. Who came up with that, you think? Oops. If you take too long, he will march all the way to the left side of the screen. Hey, Zelrog. You missed the history section, but that's okay. We've only just started. Alright, first boss. He gives you a bonus coin, but most of the bosses actually don't give you bonus coins. Although, for right now, we're actually going to be staying in the same area. I'm just going to go up here. Like the hive levels and the mineshaft levels, the trees are the dedicated vertical levels. I like the vibes. Do you think people complained about the bosses being just big enemies before this game? I'm gonna be honest, they might have complained about that for the first game, but the second game, I've never really heard anybody complain about the bosses in that. Even if they are just big enemies, the fights are interesting enough, and they aren't just jumping on their head 5 times like they are in Donkey Kong Country 1. But I guess that is true, that this is now, that all the bosses now are completely original and not based on anything else. While in 2, it's pretty obvious that the enemies have, like, a whole pirate theme going on. In this one, the enemies are more neutral, like the first game. Although, you know, we talked about how in the first game they were originally supposed to be way more army-themed. This one, it's just kind of like a lot of the enemies are just there. And the Kremlings have, like, there's, like, a half technology theme going on, because we see a guy who's got a big, like, a big bazooka with a scope on it. And then there's also the mechanical buzzes that replace zingers in this game. And I suppose that's to tie into the theme of Baron K. Rulenstein, but honestly, kind of falls flat. Wait a minute. Oh, right. There we go. I almost missed this. And another Kong letter. I forgot to talk about it last time, but while in Donkey Kong Country 1 they had just static golden letters with sparkles around it, and in 2 and 3 they instead made the letters actually way larger and they spin, and I like that actually. Now sometimes the bonus barrels do this teleport animation instead of just shooting you off. Talk about the story. We learn of the two who are kidnapped, but don't until we run into Chaos. No, actually, the manual mentions that Chaos is the new leader of the Kremlings. That they aren't following K. Rool, apparently, but they don't say why. I was under the impression. My like hypothesis is that, you know, in 2 like the way Klubba talks about K. Rool in 2 is that the Kremlings don't really like him. He treats them like garbage. Compare that to, like, Bowser, who loves his minions and treats them with respect. They all hate his guts. And maybe in, like, a bout of obsession over Donkey Kong, they decided that they didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So, he leaves, or gets deposed or something. And he builds Chaos, this robot that's leading the Kremlings instead. I'm not sure if that's the case. That's, you know, that's basically fan fiction I just wrote. But it would make sense. Yeah, I mean, this is the first game to actually have cutscenes. It actually has dialogue at the end of the game when you beat it. That's a first. I mean, I guess Cranky's video game hero thing was dialogue, but it's not the same. There we go. I have to do that again. Beating that is interesting that this is the level we beat it on, but, like, we don't actually benefit from beating that until later. I guess you could go back in and try to do it as many times as you'd like, but no real point. And then we can make use of Kitty's ability to bounce on water, which is a very rarely used ability. Although I probably use it more than most other people do. Because it's one of those things where when you know about it, you, like, look for places you can use it. You need it for bonuses mostly in the few times that the game wants you to use it. No, it's not. Like, I know the manual explains it, and I think Funky says he can do it, but, like, why would you think to do that? And this, well, if you're playing on the Nintendo Switch like I am, it doesn't include the manual. The manual is included as part of the Wii U release and the Wii release, but not this one. Unlike the red zingers, who are completely invincible, the red buzzes can be damaged. They are actually weak to TNT. I wonder if the recoils are based off of Tigger with their orange coloring and bouncy tails. I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Alright, here we go. Nope. Nonsense, he's the only one. Oh, you're right. Squeals on wheels. What do you think of Kiddy Kong? He's a very divisive character, but honestly, I kinda can't hate him. I mean, he's not my favorite, but I'm not gonna pretend like there's really anything really offensive about him, you know? He's not nearly as bad as some other baby characters that I've seen out there. I'm more about small focused casts. I get that. I can understand that, like, we already have a Kong who can fulfill this desire of needing somebody heavy for this, like, light dynamic to work. And then, you know, if you want to still have them capture Diddy Kong, that, like, has thematic reason for it to work, so you could have just replaced it with DK. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that Rare got sold to Microsoft, I wager that they would have just kept adding more and more Kongs to the series every game. Like I said earlier, and you know, we'll talk a little bit more about it when I get to DK64 next week, but they felt like they just kind of had to make a new character to advertise in each one of these, which is a interesting thing to, like, take from that. He's just there. I'd really rather they kept him for 64. If they brought him over to 64, I can guarantee you that they would be seeing him in more games. Like, if he made all the way to 64 and Dixie and Kitty were there together instead of Tiny and Chunky, we would have probably had, like, this whole quartet of characters appear in more games together, instead of, like, the fourth character for Donkey Kong usually being DK, Diddy, Dixie, Funky. It's just especially strange because, like, he's from a main entry of the series, right? Like, he is from the third Donkey Kong Country game, a main game, and then he's just gone. He was going to be in Donkey Kong Racing, but that game got canceled. I really wish we could have seen Donkey Kong Racing come to fruition. I mean, a game like Donkey Kong Racing, it would make the most sense to include him. Well, in-game, they speak in this game, they speak in DK64. Of course, you know, Cranky is famous for his dialogue, so of course he talks. I mean, the way that they're doing it in Bonanza is that they do speak, but they just all, like, make monkey noises at each other, and it's real dialogue, it's just we can't understand it. Given how this game performed, I imagine people interpret it differently than intended. Oh, I missed one. Even just adding that layer makes it feel less weird. Yeah? I mean, the Mario spin-off titles are very consistent about that. You'll often see Donkey Kong's dialogue in any Mario game as, like, they do the thing Yoshi does, where he'll say ook ook, and then, like, and then it'll turn, and then they'll translate it into what he meant to say, like how Yoshi will say Yoshi Yoshi, and then it'll be like, here's what I'm actually saying. Here's Perry, the parallel bird. He's a sacrificial lamb to get us treats. I mean, I guess that, I mean, it's an interesting concept, really, just that, like, oh, now that we give them rewards for bringing animal buddies to places, how about an animal buddy whose only gimmick is that if you bring them to the end, you get a good reward? I mean, a 3-up is pretty nice. And then in later levels, he's gonna turn into things like bonus barrels. He does attack booty birds, but, like, they never put booty birds in these after that first time. And here comes Squawks, acting just like he did before. There we go. And Quacks will appear in due time. Sometimes it feels like these animal buddies are designed more to be handicaps than they are specifically like, oh, here's a cool, fun thing to do. It's like, no, here's a challenge. Oh, I'm in the wrong area for that. I'm gonna need a lot of coins. So, unlike the other two games, this one actually does save your coins when you turn the game off, which is something I can appreciate, especially since the game's gonna ask you to have 50 coins to buy one of the items you need. So, you know, a good idea to make sure that the game saves those. Doesn't save your lives, though. Okay, well, that's my fault for being apprehensive. Oh, never mind. Got him back instantly. Okay, I can live with that. I really do like this game's soundtrack, and I think it's very underrated. It's very chill. It's got good emotion to it. I think it really sells the ideas that they were going for with some of these environments. I actually think this track right here, Treetop Tumble, is a, No, I was actually saying that about the game in general. I think a lot of people see that first level with the Oompa-Pa tubas, and they're like, well, this game's music sucks. It's just goofy clown music. And it's like, no, this game's got, like, all different kinds of... It's got lots of different things going on. You know, series veteran at this point, David Wise, was not working on this game. He instead was working on Diddy Kong Racing. Alright, Brash. Hey, it's the Banana Brain Kongs. What do you think you're doing coming to Brash's cabin without asking? See that riverbank race? I ran that in 1:15. You couldn't do it in double that time. What? You can't have beaten my time. I held that record for the last 2 years running. Oh, you've made me so angry I could... Yeah, in the GBA version, he doesn't slam his, like... He doesn't, like, slam his hands on the desk, so you leave and just this log has mysteriously moved. With no explanation. I like Stilt Village as a track. But I just think that... It doesn't really give people a good first impression, unfortunately. It's a fun track, though. I jumped twice. Alright, now we get to really see what makes Ellie different, because if you're not transformed into Ellie and you're just riding her, the only thing she has going for her is that she can pick up and carry barrels. And, like, the Kongs can already do that. And then now she's got, like, a projectile with water. The good music feels out of place now that the presentation got much more cartoony, but it's nice in a vacuum. I actually think this game went back to being a little bit more realistic in its environments. They're not, like, as realistic as Donkey Kong Country 1, but I was talking earlier how this game really tries to sell you on, like, an environment that, like, could exist as a location. Like, all of these things that you see in this game make natural sense to be near each other. Unlike, say, you know, you've got, theme park into haunted forest into castle that you got with Donkey Kong Country 2, or jungle into temple into forest, you know, or jungle into temple into, like, factory, you know what I mean? Although this game does have jungles. Clownfish and buzzsaw bees and big goofy talking bears. I'll grant you that. I will grant you that. I think the environment design is trying to be a little bit more real, even if the character design isn't, because the enemies in this game look really funky compared to, like, the first two games. They're all kind of grotesque. When you look at their renders, they're all, like, pimply and warty and weirdly muscular in the wrong places and skinny in other places. They're just not as charming as critters and clomps and stuff like that. I did grow up with this one. I actually grew up with all three games, but I never really finished any of these until much later. I didn't have the GBA version of this one as a kid. I actually had the other two. So for a while, this one was kind of like the one that got away, because I played it on my parents' Super Nintendo as a kid. But then I never got to really play it again until I got it on the Wii, and that's when I finally sat down. My parents had all three, and that's where I first played them all. I did like this one. I mean, I liked all of them. I also really liked looking at the, my parents had the player's guide for all three games, and I loved looking at the player's guide and just kind of looking at the manuals. The one I had for 2, I carried, when I was in middle school, I carried that everywhere. Yeah, I really think the manual should be here. Actually, maybe, I guess Eric could be considered a big version of a small enemy type boss. It doesn't look anything like the small ones, but, you know, it's close enough. Oh, shoot. I've never done this boss with just Kitty. It's pretty hard. Oops. Well, he just barely grazed me with his claw. Let's do this again. This game has an interesting way of creating its world maps too, because the first DKC had didn't have clear paths marked anywhere. Instead, they had little dots to indicate that that's the direction you could go. DKC 2 doesn't have anything in between levels and instead just uses flashing arrows that tell you which direction you can push to move to one location or another. Meanwhile, this one has clearly marked pathways and that are like diegetic and don't like make you do guesswork as to where to go. I always thought the coolest feature about this game when I was real young was that you could go into the water and actually freely move around in it. That was one of the big draws to me about this game, is just being able to move around on the water. Here, we'll give Kitty the win this time. No more bonus coins for completing it. Instead, now we're gonna just get some items, because we got upgrades. A patch! Oh yeah, this is just what I needed. Hang on for just a couple of seconds, Kongs, and I'll get you a cool new tub for you to rub-a-dub-dub. Now we have the hovercraft. Where are you on the... Where are you going on the 4th? Family? Yeah, the plans were made literally yesterday, so I had no I had no idea about it until then. But I guess it kind of works out, because if I'm gonna be honest with you, these Donkey Kong Land games, I just did a playthrough of all 3 of them, and they've really, like, taken me out. They're very clanky, they're very clunky games. They, you know, they don't really feel as nice to play. They're a little more difficult. Exactly, so I'm kind of just taken out of it. So if you don't mind, I will just not bother. So, we could have gone down there to talk to talk to Blunder Bear, who would tell us about this, which is how we get to the Lost World. And then you get a little ditty when you play. Well, actually, you don't get ditty yet, but imagine naming your child Blunder. I don't know if that's better or worse than naming your kid Bazooka. But let's go see what he has to say now that we've unlocked it before he told us about it. I've been watching your progress for a while, Kongs. Name's Blunder, but you can call me Mr. Blunder. I can't believe you found the Lost World on your own. I bet you cheeky so-and-sos used Nintendo Power's guide. I know I did. If you talk to him first, he accidentally reveals that the Lost World exists. And then if you talk to him again, he accidentally reveals how to open it. And then he'll say, like, you would never have gotten it without my help. So. Hey, Blue. Hello there, Kongs. How are you? My name's Bloop. Pleased to meet you. I get a lot of post, you know, but it's all bills, not a single card. Okay, sorry, buddy. The way he's presented aside, the idea of the strongest Kong being a baby is amusing. It's amusing, if not cliche. I think the super strong baby archetype by the mid-90s was a little overdone, because you'd see it a lot in cartoons. But I don't hate him. I can't really afford to be mad at him, honestly. He's really inoffensive. Somebody's got him as a favorite, I'm sure, but that somebody isn't me. But DK and Diddy go missing, so what does Dixie gotta do? Babysit. Less overdone than big strong guy with silly instrument hobby. You know, I'm beginning to think that the Donkey Kong characters aren't all too original. They're really amping up the advertising for Donkey Kong Bonanza now. I mean, you know, the game comes out soon, so it makes sense to, but like, we're seeing more and more gameplay out there. We're getting a lot of info on how the different systems work. It seems, well, obviously everybody's still under NDA, so we can't see the stuff that they haven't already shown, or at least the areas of the game they haven't already shown, but we got to see, like, the full cutscene of Odd Rock turning into Pauline. And Kremling Cope is in full force. I have to say, I'm a little bit coping myself. But if I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he's in the game. I would love to be wrong, but I'm kind of thinking that he's not actually there. But hey, who knows? Everybody's hypothesizing that they're hiding him from us. I remember back during Returns and Tropical Freeze, people were hoping the same thing. In fact, before we saw Lord Frederick, they gave us a silhouette of him. And it was a big, fat guy with a weapon and a big hat, and everybody's like, oh boy, that's gotta be K. Rool, right? Like, they're gonna show off, and it's gonna be K. No, it's Lord Frederick, who is marginally better than Tiki Tong, but otherwise he doesn't really have a whole lot going on for him. lot more generous on those hitboxes. Oh yeah, the gimmick of this one is that the level is filled with these dudes named Bazza. Very British name, honestly. It's like Jezza for Jeremy. I don't know how that name came to be, but people are still wondering about how Richard turned into Dick. Alright, G. And we're back to, and now we have the Coral levels. Both of those make more sense than Alexander and Sasha. Wait, Sasha is for Alexander? I never would have guessed. Slavic thing. Well, maybe it makes more sense if we spoke those language. A Ukrainian Sasha. Dude, the sound effect for when a crumple dies is pretty hardcore. Like, what is that? Now we got these rocket barrels that launch us up. Or I think they're called booster barrels. Great music here. This is one of the fan favorite tracks. It's like you said, bro. I mean, I gotta show off that animation when you jump on him with Dixie at least once, so we'll probably run into him soon. But you know what's a surprisingly uncommon enemy in this game? The critter replacement, Cobble. You don't really see many of those at all in this one. Having two characters is a new feature. I assume, well, I think Double Trouble refers to having to deal with Chaos and Kiddy Kong. Alright, hold on. He just says, come at me, bro. I mean, Crusher just laughs at you. Cruncher gets mad. And this guy is like, alright, bring it on. And then I kill him with the baby. Yeah, I guess the Double Trouble isn't really well specified as to what that means. Like Diddy's Kong quest. Alright, yeah. That's a quest for Donkey Kong. That makes sense. Yesterday I had someone join the server just to, like, ask me what the schedule was for all of these Donkey Kong games. Especially the one I'm doing on the 10th where it's like a lightning round. And then they left the server right after finding out. Okay. Thanks, I guess. Best way to get a hold of you for a question, I guess. I guess so. Or they could have just waited. Oh, lost the bird. I know Kitty was back there. Hang on a second. There's something off to the right here. Ow. This is probably the fastest game to get lives in, though. I'm only on World 3, and I'm already sitting on 40-something. Like, I'm almost halfway to maxing out the counter. Let's try again. Oh, lost the bird. Wow, I can normally make through this just fine without losing parry. Guess not. Oh, lost kitty again. Something over here. Just bananas. Well, that wasn't worth dying for. These waterfall levels are the ones I consistently find myself missing the bonus barrel on the most. What's the setting of this one again? It's called the Northern Cremisphere, an area to the south of DK Isle. I don't know why it's to the south. But the manual even says that Dixie swam from the south of DK Isle to get here. I guess there's presumably another Cremisphere that's farther south than this. She swam here just for Funky to immediately give her a boat. Yeah. And apparently, Wrinkly was already here. I guess this is just where she retired. Everybody was just already here. Like, it just happened to work out like that, I guess. Oh my gosh. Wow, they actually put like a barrel there to rescue you. Come on. There we go. Well, we're halfway through the mirror. There's the cobble. Oh, that's why they don't appear very much. They're mostly just in the stilt theme. So we had Snapjaw in the previous game, and this time we have Nibbler. That's his name, Nibbler. Because he's a nibbler. He nibbles you. He's like a half animal buddy. There's a level where you gotta feed him, so he can like get rid of enemies for you. There it is. I was waiting for that. There's like a level coming up later where you gotta like feed him. So he like gets rid of enemies for you, but if you don't feed him fast enough, he will eat you. So it's like, I don't know. Probably not an animal buddy. More, again, another liability. That's what it is. Another thing Dixie's gotta do. Not a favorite level. I mean, it's interesting. I like the concept. but it's not a lot of people's favorites, no. Oh yeah, and DKC2 didn't have steel kegs. You can actually... They're in this one, and you can ride them. Although there's very few places where riding them is really useful. The main thing you're going to be just using them for this, just getting the coin. I suppose the interesting thing about it now, though, is that because it's related to killing that enemy coin, finding the DK coins isn't hard anymore. They aren't really hidden. It's more like they give it to you, you just gotta figure out how to throw it and get the coin from him. But, like, it's so easy to do. There's not, like, a single coin in this game where I feel like, man, that was difficult to set up. Even the hardest ones are, like, you just gotta throw it at a specific angle. Yeah. I mean, it's a fun idea, but yeah, it is always the same challenge. Weird that you think there's still Cranky's coins? Honestly, from the way Wrinkly talks about Cranky, it sounds like he spends all day just at Swanky's sideshow, just gambling away. But because she's like, if you see him, can you tell him to come home? Now we get to suck water from the waterfall instead. Oh yeah, Dixie jumping on them. Well, that deserves a come at me, bro. But Ellie the elephant squirting water in their face, well, that kills them. His minigame performance really makes it feel like Cranky's full of bunk. When they reverse and returns, yeah. You know, there was going to be a mode in the original Donkey Kong Country. This has actually been discussed because people were talking about what was the deal with, like, Cranky's boast that he beat the game in an hour using only one life. And they're like, well, we had an idea that you were going to be able to unlock Cranky as a playable character after you beat the game. However, since he's so old, he would suck. He would be incredibly slow, and he would not be fun at all, and it would basically just be a joke mode that would be your reward. Imagine the speedruns. We're almost out. I think... Oh yeah, Ellie turns into the barrel here. You can go pick it up. Excellent. There are 40 of these, if I recall. 40 hero coins. All right. TASes for the DKC games tend to be pretty nutty anyways. They find some funny glitches. Like, I don't know, the one where you have to press a button on the map screen in DKC 1 to teleport is like a really good wrong warp glitch, and it's very funny to me. Like, I wonder what it is about those in particular that just makes them work. Hey, how about a bonus room with no obstacles? All this is asking you is, can you swim? Yeah. Oh, is Nibla feeling a little under the weather? Here. There you go. Here, eat that. There you go. Whole level is predicated on this fish being too dumb not to eat things he hates. Yes. I too am very dumb about how I eat. Wait a minute. Well, yeah, you gotta eat the whole thing. That's how you know it's all terrible. Hold on, I think there's... Yep, there it is. There it is. You know what, just... Thanks. That's the wrong one. Well... There we go. I actually am not sure what, like, order is the official order, because the game frequently... Well, actually, no, it's just here. The game gives you a choice to pick one world or the other. You'd think they'd do that again for the next set of levels, but no, there's a specific order again. No fish. Well, nice that they gave me Dixie. Now, I do have this done on, I think on my Wii U copy of the game. There are cheat codes you can input to make the game harder. One gets rid of checkpoint barrels, and one gets rid of checkpoint barrels and DK barrels. If you use the cheat code to get rid of checkpoint barrels and DK barrels, the completion percentage goes up to 105%, and you get a unique graphic on the stat screen where it shows you how you compare to everybody else. You get Cranky and a Gi doing karate moves. And you get a unique ranking called Mondo Monkey. Ooh, I was not prepared for that. Wow, really? Okay. But yeah, in terms of, like, quote-unquote new animal buddies this game offers, we get Ellie the elephant, who, at least from a first perspective, looks like a poor man's Rambi. And then we get, Perry the parallel bird, who's a liability, and we get Quox, who squawks, although instead of shooting eggs, he just picks up barrels. Oop. This is a weird boss. What are you? Oh, in the GBA version, when you beat him, he falls down. He, like, falls off of the rock. Well, that's that. Oh, let's go talk to Bramble. Ah, hello there, Kongs. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Bramble, the famed botanist. Yes, I moved up here to get away from the smell of the machines, but it's been too dry to grow anything. Yeah, so, there's a thing he wants, that flower he's got a picture of, and it won't show up until after you beat these two worlds. Oh, I love the look of these factory levels. Gives a totally different vibe to the ones in DKC 1. And of course, there's that owl carbine. I don't know what the heck he is. I think I agree that DKC2 struck the best balance between power-up and gimmick. I mean, in DKC1, none of them are required to beat the level, but they are required to get bonuses, which are in and of themselves optional, right? So, it makes sense that they're all just... It makes sense that they're all just not, like, required. But 2 was like, wait a minute. We could, like, turn these into level gimmicks. But they still threw in a couple of levels occasionally where you can ride on them as, like, a special bonus. And for some reason, Squitter likes to appear a lot in these factory levels, and I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I love the look of this rundown factory. It's a shoe factory. Oh. Is this how they make shoes? Oh, I need Kitty. Hang on a second. There we go. Perfect. What? It already bounced off the floor. Alright, back up we go. I said back up we go. There we go. I'm a little surprised that going into this hype cycle for Bonanza, how many people are actually interested in getting it. There were a lot of people who were like, I wasn't sold on the first trailer, but this second trailer really got me invested. I think it's going to be the first year of the Switch 2, it's going to be its killer app. That's going to be the reason people want to play this thing. I think Mario Kart World is like yeah, I'll get it, because, you know, it's Mario Kart. I always get Mario Kart, but I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be the game that everybody wants to really play. And that's unusual for a Nintendo console. There we go. Alright, now we can continue. Easy peasy. Well, that was easy too. These owls feel like something in Wario Land VB. Isn't there literally an owl enemy in that game? Morning, Kongs. Brigadier Bazooka here. All present and correct, I see. Marvelous. I fought in the Crimean War, don't you know? But I've retired from the service, along with Big Bessie. Who's Big Bessie? She's the biggest and greatest cannon of all time. What a beauty. You may want to use my cannon, young Kongs. Well, not without some sort of ammo, I'm afraid. We'll come back. I don't know, but the whole game's about playing with the foreground and background. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Alright, time for our minecart replacement. It's not a minecart, it's not a roller coaster. Heck, it's not even on a track, it's a toboggan. As if this couldn't get any more Canadian. I suppose it's a good thing that I'm doing this now instead of tomorrow. We don't want to celebrate Canada on America Day. I remember they made this thing so much harder to control on the, Ow. Dang it. They made this so much harder to control on GBA. And then on Donkey Kong Land 3, the jerks, you know how I can, like, stomp on zingers here? Yeah, well, I can't do that in the Game Boy game for some reason. Oh, I missed it. Alright, yeah, we gotta go back in and get that one I missed. So after the halfway point. Whoops. That's these ones when you're in the minecart or the toboggan are probably the meanest bonuses in the entire series because they're all one and done. If you don't get it, tough luck, come back. Gotta keep an eye out for that banana. There it is. Hey kitty, what if we just walked? There is a way to walk. It's very difficult to like pull off. And it's very tight, but you can walk. I'm gonna play Swanky's Sideshow again. I need more coins. To do more head-to-head. It's an easy one to win. You chimps are chumps. Can't believe you even try to beat me. I've already beat you once today. Oh, he's gonna win. There we go. Yeah. I missed that one and it was over. Give me another go. Well, I got I got like some coins back, I think. Oh, never mind. You know what? Fine, yeah, we'll just keep going. But if you didn't, you know, playing those is kind of ingenious because, if you ignore them, you're gonna have a much harder time on the boss, one of the bosses. This one, by far, is the level I think a lot of people remember from this game. I mean, how can you not? It's a very striking level. But who was the giant lumberjack? Paul Bunyan, my arch nemesis. And what kind of maniac cuts up a tree lengthwise? Oh. Ooh, my gosh, I almost messed up my jump. Whoever he is, he's really fast at it. You're totally right. Like, my goodness, man. Uh-oh. I guess buzzsaws would seem too violent. Or maybe they just wouldn't work for the thing they were going for. There we go. Whew. Well, I mean, how could buzzsaws seem too violent when you literally have a bee with a buzzsaw on it? There we go. And we're done with Ripsaw Rage. I almost thought I was going to die a couple of times. I suppose you're right. Well, we only need 13 more coins before we have enough to buy the mirror. I just got Kitty back. Or I just got Dixie back. Oh my gosh. Ah, well. This game continues the Donkey Kong Country 2 thing where, depending on what level you die in, you get a slightly different, death jingle. However, the death jingles in this game all kind of follow the same formula that the Rattle Battle one did, where it has that, like, drum roll at the end. So they all kind of blend into each other. I don't know why Squitter likes factories so much. Alright. Oh, this one wasn't defeat the baddies. This was find the coin. Okay, never mind. I think, I'm not certain, but I think that Squitter in this game can, I think that Squitter in this game can jump on enemies. I'm not certain about that, though. I mean, there's a DK barrel right up ahead, so maybe I'll give it a shot. He can't jump on zingers. Or buzzes. Ah, never mind. We'll try it another time. I will also say that this one I might recommend more than DKC2 to people, if only for the fact that I would say the difficulty's a lot more balanced. DKC2 gets really hard in some parts, and I think that this one has a much better job at keeping it a generally smooth experience throughout. There we go. A lot more enemies really like using that one standard sound effect for Kremlings, huh? Alright, we're done. Now we've only got one more level before we finally get to meet the mastermind behind the Kremling attack. Yes, it's really him. Come on. There we go. I think this is definitely one of the levels where they kind of squandered, the gimmick. Like, you've got this gimmick where the whole thing is it's low gravity, you have to time your jumps carefully because there's things everywhere. But then, like, halfway through the level, you get quawks. And you get squawks or quawks or whatever, and it's like, well then, what's the point of making this level low gravity? What does that do? Yeah. Great. Now I have a flying parrot. Okay. Is it... I mean, we move a little slower, I guess? Sure. Okay. Sure. The barrel still killed him? If the barrel still killed him, then obviously I shouldn't have been hit. Anyway, the barrel was for this. I knew it. I knew it. We gotta get down there. I usually can make the barrel get all the way down there, but there we go. Ah, forget it. Just go. Oh, because I can use this barrel instead. Yeah. You can just go down that way. Perfect. I mean, you can squeeze by or just take a hit if you feel like it, to be fair. Oh my gosh. Hit it! There we go. Okay. We're back to Quawks. Of all things, this guy comes back in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast as an item. So, another thing that's strange is, you do get this as something you can use to throw. But if you miss it like I did, then they just give you another one? And it's one of those regular respawning ones, so, like, who cares? Alright, well, works for me, I guess. Nope. I don't need the G that badly. There we go. Now it's time for the boss. Chaos Carnage. Being used item traded for barrels. Animal buddies should form a union. Kong's enemy. You must be destroyed. Yeah, this guy was never really going to stick around for very long, was he? He's a very boring type guy. Apparently in Donkey Kong Land 3, he must have rebuilt Chaos at some point because Chaos is a boss again. I once heard someone describe the head underneath as Pizza the Hutt's assistant from Spaceballs. And after finally seeing Spaceballs, or at least clips of it, I get it. I just see Terminator. I think Terminator was like the original one. But why give it such a cool head underneath and then just give it a lame shell on top? Kong's win does not compute. Next time we meet, Chaos will win. And this was 3 years before Sonic Adventures Chaos. And now we've got the Turbo Ski. This will allow us to do a couple of things. Hey, you found 2 skis, awesome. Now I got all the parts I need to make you the ultimate ride. Wait right there, Kongs, while I get you my latest and greatest boat yet. Bonkers, I've built in a cool turbo feature that'll be sure to take you to the new heights. Just press Y. And indeed, we have the Turbo Ski, which allows us to go over waterfalls? Alright, sure. There we go. Alright. And then we make our way up here. But before we do any of that, we've got the GBA version to look at right now, because it has new content. Oh, there is a disc inside. You jerks. It's given me problems lately. I don't know if it's the laser or the motor or just the fact that you leave it for a little bit. I cleaned the laser and then it just started working one right after the other. Alright, well now it's working. Sure. Okay. So, the GBA version of DKC3, why am I playing it now instead of later? Well, that's because this one has a whole new world they threw into it. The main differences between this one and the Super Nintendo version, of course, they've got brand new graphics, new text, new everything. All of the overworlds have been completely redone, and there's a brand new soundtrack. Let's take a look at it. Funky, when you go to him, he's got new mini games to play, and they're all based off of Cobra Triangle. And David Wise did redo the soundtrack for this one. He composed the main theme for the original game, and then he was asked to do a new soundtrack for this. Why this one gets a new soundtrack? Well, that's because apparently the really low tones of the original game's soundtrack wouldn't transfer all too well. To the GBA, which I'm not sure why. The Game Boy could handle it just fine, but hey, whatever. I'm not a game developer. And I failed. These missions are actually quite hard, so. Honestly, though, I will say that because this was made for the GBA in mind, it does sound really good. Wrinkly does not have her own like place anymore. She's got Wrinkly's Retreat, which is like a spa. I had to walk out of there immediately because I didn't want to activate the cutscene for the final area. And here the bears have been redesigned. But the main thing we're actually here for is that they gave this game an entire new world. Which is crazy. And because they have an entire new world, they don't actually, they don't have some of the other things the other GBA games have, like, they don't have the scrapbook, for example. They don't have a stat screen either that shows you all the different stats in the game. But you go up here after you get the Turbo Ski, and you get access to Pacifica. How'd you say the level design stacks up? Well, a lot of other people say it's really good. It's pretty much just the same as the original. And I don't know if I would say that. I think it's actually a little bit harder than the regular game. I wouldn't put it exactly on par with the original. Sometimes it just feels weird. I'm not going to show you the bonus locations because if I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't remember where they are. And of course we have new sound effects. Kitty is using Diddy's voice lines, and Dixie is still using Tiny's voice lines. I think Kitty's voice lines are just pitched up ever so slightly compared to the original game. These levels I gotta be a little bit more careful with. Well, there's a bonus. Well, you know what? I'll show off the bonus theme. Well, I didn't get it. Well, they don't actually play the bonus lose theme unless you die. Actually, the GBA version got rid of death sound effects completely. When you die, there's no noise for it. Or I should say, there's no music for when you die. What's with all the bristles? What's that all about? Man, the color of these fish is not helping. It's really hard to see them. Careful when the water level lowers. Because the water level is going to lower here, and if you're too far to the right or left, those urchins from above, they will hit you. There we go. And you can see that they have different sound effects for the Kremlings. They don't all go, "Aw." Which I think is fair. Giving them different noises makes sense. They moved Barnacle here. So where Barnacle used to be, there's a new bear named Bachelor. And the new levels use Kraka, which was an enemy that was not in the original game. He was supposed to be, and they actually have full sprites for him, but he got taken out. I think they had a cool idea for a background. Oh, well, there you go. That's what it sounds like when you die. No music at all. And there's the David Wise, like, yeah, I'm gonna start every game with a level that has tons of ambience before we get to the actual melody. And now it's fine on a longer level like this, but if you're playing like the first level, it barely has any time to play before it's over. Okay. There we go. That's a DK barrel. I'm like, what is that in there? I think the gimmick for this one is supposed to be that you've got tons of these enemies after you. Spyro sounding noise. The ones from the ones that go the recoils. Ah, okay. There we go. Well, that did nothing. Hold on. I like this part of the song. It just takes a very long time to get to that part. Oh, I haven't died with Kitty yet. At some point, I gotta show you what happens when you die with Kitty, because they gave him a new cry, and it's way more annoying. So, what do you think Swanky's doing now? Swanky's offering a VR experience. He gives you a banana bird the first time you complete one of these, but he has locations in every world, although you don't need to visit them all. Kitty can't play it because apparently minors aren't allowed. I really think that's just because they didn't want to make a new model for Kitty like they did with Dixie, DK, and Diddy for the first three. One. He's also using his DKC2 sprites for some reason. Well, he gave me some bananas. Sunken Spruce. This is probably the level that's like most emblematic of what this world does. We've got it just mixes themes together. We've got a tree level that's underwater. And let me tell you, the fact that you have so little vertical space to see what's coming up meant that this level kicked me in the balls so many times. It's not screen crunch. I think it just wasn't designed for swimming like this. It does sound a little bit like Under the Sea. And this is the music that plays in Ripsaw Rage, by the way. But you know what I hear a lot in this soundtrack? I actually hear a lot of Tropical Freeze inspiration in this. Like, if you listen to the music he made for Tropical Freeze, for, like, the beach levels, I hear that in this. At least I got more hit points. Because, like, I'm always on edge in this level. And that's why. You try to get past one obstacle, and then there's another one right behind it. And I didn't even make it to... Yeah, I didn't even make it to the checkpoint yet. Like, how long is this level? Come on. Gosh, I'm freaking out. I'm not on top of things. Okay. No, I'm good. Oh my gosh. Like, why is it gotta be like this? Why is it gotta be weaving in and out of these extremely tight spaces? Hold on, let me actually switch to Dixie in the front. So if I die, you'll hear this amazing sound effect they've created. There it is. Why did they change it to that? What was wrong with the sound effect we had before? Why did you change it to something way more annoying? It wasn't people's favorite sound effect in the original, but it wasn't a problem. Like, why did you change it to something way worse? Ugh. This level always gets my goat. There we go. Oh my gosh, go! There we go. Well, now I gotta be extra careful. Like, I just know that there's something below me. Okay, we're good. Whew. Where's that checkpoint? I already got the end. Where's the checkpoint? There's the G. Alright, no checkpoint. Fine. Alright, Cliffside Blast. Now this really puts the country in Donkey Kong Country. The sound effect for the barrels are particularly chunky. I like that. Well, how is that my fault? The buzz wasn't even on screen. How was I supposed to know? Alright, well, it just... Sure, I'll take that. When, so OC Remix, which you might be familiar with, a website all about video game remixes, and they make albums of remixes from various artists. They did one for all 3 of the Donkey Kong Country games, and they actually remixed, the Game Boy Advance songs, too. Okay. I'll avoid the copter. I knew I'd get hit. Oh, I should have just kept going up. Did I hit the checkpoint? No, I didn't. Where was the checkpoint? Are they just not giving me any? Are they hiding the checkpoint? What the? How am I supposed to be able to... It's not even on screen. How is that fair? It's not even on screen. Alright, I got it. Am I supposed to go, like, to the left here? Is that where the checkpoint is? Or is it to the right? No, because there's nothing to the right. Ah! I was past the O. Surely they would actually make a checkpoint, right? They wouldn't just, like... I don't know. Alright, well... Thanks. Yeah, the music being redone for this one really gives this one more of like a reason to play it. I mean, plus you've got that new world. That's another enticing thing about it, really. They're doing that, are they? Okay. Dang it! Okay, so I didn't know that would hurt me, because normally when you touch the top of a copter, nothing bad happens. You just bounce off of it. Where are the checkpoints? Not that I can't figure this out, but my man, it's just an issue of, like, time management here. Figuring out exactly how much space I have is ticking me off. There's where we were when we died. There we go. I don't know why I can't get any checkpoints. Alright, so if Swanky's doing that and Wrinkly's down at the refuge, what's Cranky doing? He's got a dojo. Yes. And he's got a mini game. There you go. Want to see him go Super Saiyan like that one Paper Mario Toad? Why a dojo? Oh, I hate this level. Everyone does. How about underwater wind? Oh yeah, that's what I want. I'm gonna be honest, I think I'm gonna just play this one a couple more times. But you can see I beat it, right? I'm just gonna try this one a couple more times. I'm not gonna waste too much time trying to beat this one because oh my gosh, I hate this level. It's got a nice remix of aquatic ambience for the water levels, though. Up we go. Yeah, you get the gist. I think that's enough. So they added a new boss, but it's not here. It's in oh right, Surf's Up. So there's that there's that cave. Yeah, how this feels to control is completely different. Can't say I'm as big of a fan. And the camera's definitely not a help. There you go. That's actually the bonus failure music. It's really long. Oh, wait a minute! Now I remember why there's no checkpoints. It's because I'm playing on a file that I did 104% on. So there's no checkpoints on any of the levels. Alright, see, I'm mad at myself. Anyways, that's Pacifica. So that's the, you know, that's the big differences all laid out for you. Let's take a look at that overworld for a sec. So there is a new boss, but they didn't put it in Pacifica. They put it in Razor Ridge. So we'll go check out the new boss there instead. I do not like the new boss. He's not very good. That sprite of him sitting on the chair is massive. Anyways, here's the boss. His name is Croctopus, not to be confused with the Croctopus from Donkey Kong Country 1. You basically just make that happen. He looks horrible. You basically need Dixie for this fight. I've never been able to do it as Kitty. I don't think I need to show the whole fight. That's all he does. He just reaches out, and that's it. That's really the whole thing he does. But we could get a quick look at all of the We could get a quick look at the, there we go. I actually highly recommend listening to this game's soundtrack if you have the time. Well, maybe not this one. This one's kind of a downer. So, here's an interesting one. Originally, the plan was going to be that there was going to be a new boss music for every boss in the game. Instead, they could only make 2. So instead of making one the regular boss theme and the other one the boss theme for, making the other one the boss theme for K. Rulenstein, they instead just kept the one boss they made for Eric, and then they left the rest as the regular boss theme. Why didn't you just use this boss theme you made for Eric for Baron K. Rulenstein? I don't get it. It looks like the only dungeon they changed in the Battle Network remake was the electric one. Oh, okay. This is a good song. The Nuts and Bolts remake is good too. Very interesting how they did it. And there's a lot of ambience. I think too much ambience, honestly. Takes too long to really get to the part of the music that, like, you want to hear. I don't know why this is called Jangle Bells. Jangle Bells was a Christmas themed song that you could input a code for, and you'd be able to change all the bonus rooms to give you ornaments and presents instead of stars and green bananas. This one takes forever to get to the song, and it's a nice song too, but it just takes way too long. Well? Well? That's what you're hearing for most of the stage. You're just listening to jungle noises. Oh my gosh, where is the music? There it is! That was like almost a half minute of ambience. Don't you think that's a little much, Mr. Wise? Oh, and since this was missing since DKC3 was missing a proper remix of DK Island Swing, this one has it. And we got 2, actually. Yeah, I can't really show you the game over. I have 90 lives. But yeah, that's that then. But that's all for the GBA version. We're going back to this SNES version for the rest of this playthrough. Come on. Uh-oh. There we go. And I had a sound bug. Give me just 1 second to fix that. There we go. Alright, I don't know what that problem was about, but it's fixed. Anyways, back to DKC 3. We're definitely going to be running long, but that's okay. Rockface Rumble. One of the best songs on the soundtrack, honestly. Excuse me, I need that coin. Thank you. I guess considering that they introduced the banana coins in DKC2 and you can beat the game without really using any of them, they figured, oh, let's give them a purpose. Let's make them have to use them to 100% the game. There we go. But yeah, overall, I would say that the GBA levels are, like, comparable to the original games, but I think they can be a little aggravating, you know? Meanwhile, I would say that this game keeps a pretty smooth thing all throughout. Ooh, check this out. Yeah, don't even need to run it all the way around. Nothing? Alright, nothing. People often compare this song to Cannon's Clanking. They say that the way it's built with this heavy percussion, lead, going into a small, like, poignant, like, that guitar solo sounds very similar to the part of Cannon's Clanking where it goes doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. It's not as good, but I see the comparison. Oops. But yeah, if you were going to play any of the GBA versions of the Donkey Kong Country games, I would recommend 3 over the other 2. Just for the fact that you get more game compared to the original. Although the GBA version of DKC 3 is the one I have the least experience with because I didn't grow up with it. That's way easier than trying to do it with the cannon. There we go. Nice and simple. Oh, oops, missed that one. Okay, missed that one too. So I'm thinking since the DK64 part of the playthrough is going to be in pieces, I think what I want to do with that game is I want to explore things like the Donkey Kong Country TV show and other supplementary material like manga or comics during that time. And heck, maybe I could even spend one of those discussing the other games that I'm not going to be playing as a part of this marathon. I probably would have played some of them if I had that extra week I initially was aiming for, but I think I'll be fine as is. Oops. What the heck did I hit? Oh, I hit the wall. You can actually, so when I mentioned earlier that you can get the 105%, and that will actually give you the extra ranking of Mondo Monkey at the end. If you do it in the GBA version, you get called Cheat and Chump instead, like you used any of the cheats that give you a benefit, like the one that gives you all the coins. That one just says, you just type in water at the cheat select. You enter the game and you go to the waterfall, and it gives you all the creme coins you need to beat the game. Not the creme coins, the bonus coins you need to beat the game. Oh my gosh. Why am I not jumping? I should jump at the top of that. There we go. Finally. There's a tricky toboggan thing coming up. Or a tricky jump to make for a... I think it's like right here. Yeah. It was right there. Let's try it again. There we go. Got that. Whoops. Oh, never mind. We made it. We're good. And then that booty bird is there as a... I guess as like a trick. Like as if I don't know that steel kegs are used for this. We've been playing the same game, right? Now this is a level that's pretty infamous because it's it can be very frustrating. You gotta jump off of these barrels as they ride down the waterfall. Doesn't upset me too much, but I've seen a lot of other people express their discomfort with it. And I definitely approached this from the wrong angle, but that's okay. Getting it wrong is still... Getting it the wrong way still means I get it. Can't run too far from the barrel or else it despawns. Nope. Okay. Oh my gosh. Never mind. The frustration is setting in. Okay, never mind. We're good. Let me just check something. Oh, yep, it was this one. Okay, good. Glad I got it now. I always end up missing the bonuses on these. Can you stop? Yeah, thank you. Can you stop, like, appearing down at the bottom? Alright, so we're looking for another bonus barrel later. I don't know where the next one is. Oh, here's the one that everybody hates. Doing this jump. I mean, it's easier if you got Dixie, but yeah. It's not perfect. But it works. Oh my gosh. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to... Okay, yeah, nothing up there. There's something like that. In one of these. Got like hair or dust stuck to me. Always happens when it's worn. Nope, nothing left that way. I've tried that multiple times, I remember. Ah, it's here. There it is. Alright, now we're done. We can just finish the level. Basically the same thing as the last one, except now we just climb up instead of collecting the bananas. Sure. Another parallel bird. Lives, just for me. Crack Shot Croc. Oh, another factory level that has Squitter in it. What are the odds? And this one you actually do the whole thing as Squitter. Weird it's giving you a tutorial for it, but I guess there's no guarantee that you would have... Yeah, I guess this is the first one where you have to be Squitter. There we are. can't remember. There's definitely another level after this, Lemguin Lunge, but is there anything aside from that one? Because that might be it, because there might be Swanky's Sideshow in the way, but I can't seem to recall. It's not there. Looks like a cheese puff, doesn't it? I missed the O already, so just take it, I guess. If I remember this one correctly, we won't see... Yeah, we're not going to see the coin until the end. There we go. This is probably the most interesting bonus in the entire game. You're the reticle now. There we go. I always struggle to hit those guys. You just gotta get used to a completely new control scheme all of a sudden. At least they give you a plenty long timer to get used to it. One shot at this, don't mess it up. There we go. Okay, no, that is it, isn't it? Alright, yeah, Lemguin Lunge is the last level here. You know, I'm a little surprised at the number of levels here. I would have expected it to be 6 in every world, except for the first one, like in the last two. I think they have an extra world because they make every one with 5 levels. Except for the last one. Well, that's a simple one, isn't it? I like the background there with the, just the pure white snow. It looks so pillowy and full. I like the backgrounds with the little cabins that all go all up and down. Kind of stupid, ain't he? You get into a nice rhythm when you bounce on him. Got a full set, do we? Oh my gosh, lag? I'm not used to lag in this game. Alright, well, finished it anyways. No biggie. Alright, well, we're getting close to the end. We're on the second to last world. Well, kind of. You know what? Never mind. I'm taking... It's not the second to last world. We've got, like, 3 worlds left. So Blizzard gave us a present for Blue. So we're gonna go talk to Blue. Well, at least they're making these easy. Alright, now we go fight the boss, Bleak. Wonder where to hit him. Yeah, and this is good if you were paying attention to the sideshow. Up real fast. And there we go, that's it. I love that little laugh he does. Alright, well, now that we've got the present, let's go say hi to Blue, because it's his birthday. Even if you play this on several different days, it's still his birthday. Here you go, Blue. Present for me. Oh, thank you, Kongs. You've really made my day. Let's have a look inside. Okay. It's a bowling ball. Well, it's far too heavy for me. I know. Why don't you have it, Kongs? Okay. I guess I have a bowling ball now. Then, you take the bowling ball over to Bazooka. You want to use my cannon, young Kongs? Now without some sort of ammo, I'm afraid. What you got there? A heavy ball? You never know, it just might work. Alright, yeah. Let's do it. There we go. I'm glad that these never get too hard. But like, man, they just pulled that cave right off the ground. It's funny, they have a save location at every world, but at any time, you can just leave and go save on the world map. There's no, like, you don't have to go find Funky to unlock more of the game or anything like that. Hold on, if I remember correctly. Yep. Right here, there's this little hidden alcove. They're really rare, but every once in a while they appear, and I don't know, like, why they do that. Alright, another Quox joint. There we go. Everything echoes in the cave. the speed you can get with Quawks and Squawks is really good. Alright, well, the red buzz took it, so... Okay. Perfect. I don't know how many coins I have. I should be getting close to 50. Here. Whoops. Well, that's not how you do it. Oh well. I got it. Now we gotta wait for the copters. Nothing over there, huh? Nope. Oh my gosh. Some of the overworld stuff in this game felt kind of obtuse. What was the worst offender for you? I think for me the worst one is like, you go off the beaten path to get to Blizzard, and then you have to press a direction, you have to press the D-pad again in that direction to find the cave. Because every world's got one, so you're like looking for it, but then nothing's revealing itself. And I think that, like, when you know it, it's one of those that's like completely skill-less. But when you don't know it, it like just locks you out. Take it. There's always a copter going this way. All right. All right, again. Here, hang on. Yeah, it's this one. Oh my gosh! I was completely thrown off. Immediately zoned out. What were you saying earlier about games you're not doing? There's a couple of games. When I do DK64, I'll probably talk about the games I'm not planning on streaming at all then. Just go into a little bit of like what happened to the DK series in between like 1999 and 2010, because it just kind of went all over the place and took direction for itself. Someone said the stream dropped, but on my end, it's still going. Well, it looks like we're not dropping any more frames. Okay, yeah, no. Even Discord was like, what the... There's a storm brewing. So maybe it would be prudent if I try to get this done before it gets too bad. I mean, we have hiccups from time to time, but I can see that that my kbps is not normal. All right. There we are. Oh yeah, this level. Oh yeah, this level. Oh, it's over. Gotta do it again. Jeez Louise. Oh my goodness. We're having connection problems all over the place right now. I'm gonna pull through, but if we stop and we don't come back, we'll just say that that's the end then, yeah? Oh my gosh. You know what? Let me just reverse. Just reverse. There we go. Oh my gosh, no. Come on. What? Okay, why can't I get this? I waited until I was at the top and I didn't get it. Hello? There we go. Gosh, geez Louise. Well, we really can't pull any punches now. I gotta just keep going. The storm is getting bad. Well, you know what? Just in case we don't finish, hold on, how many do I got here? We got 50 coins. All right. We can actually do the trade now. All right. You know what then? I'll talk a little bit about Donkey Kong Land 3 while we wait then. So it's better than Donkey Kong Land 2 at being an original game. I will say that. It is not... Like, Donkey Kong Land 2 was basically like if you took Donkey Kong Country 2 and squeezed it onto a Game Boy. This is not like that. It's more of an original game, but it does use all the same environments and the same music and the same enemies, and there's nothing new going on with it. Really. The only thing that really makes it strange is when you're finished with the game like 100%, and you beat K. Rool, he escapes to the Lost World, and then... Oh yeah, this guy we gotta trade. He's in a terrible shape. We gotta trade the mirror for the wrench, and we need this wrench so that we can activate one of the chairlifts in Razor Ridge.